What is the complexity of reallocating an array and adding an element? N? Nope, it's linear. When Elon Musk put out the tweet about wanting to hire more C++ programmers, as a C++ programmer myself, I was thrilled. Of course, I've always believed it's the best way to write code. I applied, even just for the meme of it. I never expected to hear from him in the first place. Not that I don't think I'm qualified, I think I could do great work for SpaceX, but the world's such a big place and there are a lot of smart people, and I don't necessarily look good on paper. About a month later, I got an email to set up a phone screening. A few days later, I was on the call. They asked if I was an Elon fanboy, which the truthful answer is, yeah, kind of. Followed by the expected, are you willing to move? For which any other company is usually no, but for SpaceX it becomes, okay, I'm listening, really quick. Now, on to some questions. What is the complexity of reallocating a dynamic array, adding a new element? You answer, N. Final answer, they respond, which is code for you just got it wrong, and I'm giving you a second chance before you get screened out. Nice of them. And for the software engineers in the room, you understand that N and linear mean the same thing. Linear being the word they were looking for. So I then did the absolute wrong thing. Instead of taking a step back and checking for errors in the communication layer, I checked for errors in my answer. Seeing as there were no errors in my answer a microsecond later, I proceeded down the wrong path. I attempted to describe to the non-programmer recruiter why I was right. When this failed, I jumped into the grave I had dug myself and asked, "Are you a programmer?" Since this fact had already been established, this was rude, and changed the entire tone of the screening. Since I was under pressure and discomfort, and had failed to identify the cause of the problem, my assertion that I should be listened to was genuine, and I didn't mean to be rude. This video is an apology to that party. I didn't realize this was a matter of a synonym until it was too late, but it makes for a fun story and lesson. The core of this issue is even more fascinating to me, and I've encountered it in the past. There are many different engineering personalities. The main ones I've encountered I call loosely the memorizers and the computers, or the thinkers. I've found them to form naturally around different interests, strengths, personalities, stages in career. In general, right out of college, you'll lean more toward the memorizer, and later you'll become more of a computer thinker. All in all, some engineers like to remember facts and details, some like to remember principles and think through the answer, looking up other information. Both are useful, and I don't believe one to be more correct than the other. They both come to the same conclusion, but it's important to remember when interviewing or communicating in an engineering role. They communicate very differently. It's easier to interview a memorizer, and you often get mixed results when interviewing a thinker well calibrated for a memorizer. But it's harder to validate depth of skill of a memorizer. I was watching the founder of Comma.ai on Twitch, the company behind OpenPilot. George is my therapy session. The other day, he brought up this exact issue. There is a tension between vocabulary and thinking while evaluating a candidate. I have had some catastrophic interviews in the past, and have found this detail to be at the heart of it. Some interviewers give full points to vocabulary. Like in this case, dexterity in vocabulary would have been better. Compounding the difficulty of the matter, when a memorizer type is interviewing a computer or thinker, they often look at the process of describing things, computing, as an attempt to skirt around the issue, a lack of proficiency. Well, the opposite actually might be true. I've had feedback in the past to this effect. Just say the right word and let's move on. One interview of note that I had was with a forensic disk analysis company. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm really good at this type of work. I walked into the interview confidently. I walked out being accused of being a charlatan. This was a turning point for my interview strategy and led to my current understanding of this issue. I now lead out with my own work and author video showcases of my thinking as a defense against memorizer interviews. But I firmly understand that I will fail at most of these types of interviews unless there's a thinker type in the room to translate or has time to review my work before. As a computer thinker type, I'm overwhelmed by memorization. There's too much to remember, and I used to try to remember it all. Too many programming languages, frameworks to master. As an optimization, I go out of my way to not remember things and just focus on the core essence or principle, and remember where to look up the details when I need them. Really, there was a moment in my career when I felt crushed by all the variety in programming and literally made the conscious choice to never remember anything I can look up. For example, the complexity of an algorithm. Instead of remembering the complexity of every algorithm, I understand the concept of complexity and look up the details when I need them. I've had feedback in the past. Just get good at interviewing. Well, that probably is the right answer. I'm an innovator. I'm here to talk about and solve problems. And if I can't do that effectively in an interview, I probably don't belong at that company.